Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 111 of the ATL Falcons UK show. It is our season opener. The Falcons, of course, take on the Bucs this Sunday. We are back. We're coming off the back of our season prediction show where there was mixed expectations. So this week, I've got with me, as always, Liam and Cal. Mark is currently missing in action, but he has passed on his notes and some points that he really wants to make. However, this week, with it being back to the season, we have a very, very special guest who I'm going to tag in now, which is Mariana from Bucs UK. We are going to grill Mariana a little bit and see what her expectations for the Bucs are and how she thinks the off-season went and everything like that. So I'm going to pass over to Liam to do a little bit of a Q&A, and I can get all the socials sorted in the meantime. Over to you, Liam.
Yeah, it'd be good to obviously get your general thoughts and your expectations for the season ahead. I guess there's some fairly high expectations certainly within the division and coming off the back of the last season. So what are your general thoughts? Is it an optimistic group at the moment?
Yeah, I would say that firstly, good evening to you all, or thank you for inviting us on. We're always happy to join fellow UK American football fans. I know we've got a bit of a rivalry in the NFC South, but I think at the end of the day, we're all American football fans, and we're always happy to sort of join and have a bit of banter and a bit of discussion about our team. So thanks again for letting us join. I would say that the feeling is generally positive particularly amongst our group, but I think in general with the Buccaneers group, I think. The big thing being that we've sort of got a solid core of players now. We haven't changed too much. Like if you look at the sort of first team players and the ones that are stepping out onto the field this coming weekend, a lot of them are going to be players that are seasoned and have been with us for quite a while. So it's an experienced bunch, and based on sort of last season's performance, I think I'm hopeful that we can do well and get to the playoffs again.
Yeah, I think that'll be a reasonable expectation for the season. I'm sure there'll be a bit of we're hoping for a bit of a battle for the top part of the division between the Bucs and ourselves. You never know how to go.
I think the last few seasons you've definitely been the sort of strongest contender against us. So I was expecting that to be the same again this season in terms of, I think if we look at the other teams anyway, I think Carolina and the Saints are still both in quite a mess, whereas you're getting to that stage that you've rebuilt. So I do expect that it will be between our teams at the end of the season.
Yeah, that's what we're expecting too. But we know the NFL's pretty unpredictable, so we'll see how it goes. So in terms of the pre-season then, and sort of your draft that you had, is there any was it a successful draft in your eyes? Do you think you picked up some strong players to bring into the fold?
Yeah, I think everyone kind of on draft night, everyone was a little bit shocked when we picked up Emeka Egbuka with that first pick. A lot of us were sort of going, no, we wanted a cornerback, we wanted secondary, that's where we were desperate. And so people were a little bit surprised by him. And then when you look at the situation now for the weekend, it's looking like he's going to be the number 3. So he's going to be starting on the night because of the injury in the preseason to McMillan. So, that's probably a pick that actually ends up making a lot of sense. Mike Evans has had some time out in recent seasons. His hamstring injuries have sort of hindered him a little bit at times. We're sort of looking to the future. We don't know still what's happening with Godwin and his sort of comeback. So yeah, it'll be good to. I think he's going to be a really key feature moving forward. And will turn into that wide receiver one, as Mike Evans sort of finishes his career. So a surprise pick maybe at the time, but like looking at it now, it's one that we're probably quite grateful that we did pick up.
I think Yeah, I think there's a little bit of method in the madness, though, isn't there? Because even though you might have had more priorities at that point, Evans and Godwin are both getting to the latter end of their careers, so to speak. So it's good to have someone sat with them for a couple of years before they do call it time, in the same way that we have done with Drake London, really. But it's just unfortunate that he became number one much quicker than expected. But it's one of those things, isn't it?
Yeah, and then obviously the next sort of couple of picks were both cornerbacks, and it looks like both of them are going straight in. Morrison, we're not sure if he's playing yet. He's still showing as injured. So those sort of top three picks looks like they're all going to make an impact this weekend. We're not too injured as well. In general, our injury report sometimes on the weekends looks horrific, but it's not looking too bad. So I'm hopeful. We know we've got a tough opponent, and I've got Bijan Robinson in my fantasy. So there's a bit of a
well, that's a little bit of a contradiction in your first week,
yeah,
isn't it?
That one's going to be an interesting one.
You want a win, but a high-scoring game for both teams.
Exactly.
A nice little 54-48 or something like that.
Something that will keep us all awake, at least.
Exactly. One thing for us at the moment in time is we've recently lost all of our right tackles, all of them, in different injury capacities and things like that. So how are you feeling about your pass rush this season? Do you think you've got it in you? Because we've got Penix, who is a lot more mobile than Kirk Cousins, but with him being a lefty, he's lost his main guard now. So do you expect him to get hit very much this weekend, or can we breathe? Can you let us off for a week?
I mean, I'm hoping to see a step up this year. Didn't quite see what I thought I would last year, but I'm hoping it will come this year from Yaya Diaby. He kind of shone in the later part of his rookie season and went a little bit quiet last year. But I'm hoping he's going to come back and yeah, so I'm hoping he's going to get a few. And then we've got a bit of a little bit more experience on the D line in general, because we brought in Reddick over the off season as well. So I mean, I'm pinning my hopes on Diaby to go in and get those sacks. So
it's all right. It's the same as us. We're relying on rookies at the moment, so at least yours has got a bit of an experience under the belt.
Yeah, I think Reddick was a good pickup in terms of the experience and stuff. They've been there and done that style player. I'm sure he'll have an impact, I would imagine, quite early on. You'd expect.
It was also someone that we got mentioned with early doors as well, and I wouldn't have been frustrated if we did get that acquisition, but of course, stolen from underneath us. It's one of those. In terms of Mayfield, then, of course, been sensational appointment following Brady in that little transitional period you had. Have you still got high hopes for him? Are you still got the same expectations? Because, of course, he's very much a veteran at this point, but he's one of those that some people very comfortably classify as a top 10, and then other people just shove him down in that bottom range. But what do you think about him?
I mean, I think for most of the Buccaneers fans, what we love about Mayfield is that he goes out and plays with his heart on his sleeve. He is absolutely like a fans player in terms of, you can't not love the guy. Like late last season, he was like running and pushing players ahead of him, and he just puts his body on the line, and you got your heart in your mouth because you're like, please don't get injured. But at the same time, you just love to see that out of him, that he's, he'll scramble for that extra yard and get that first down. So I don't see, it's not like one of those where I'm going, oh, he's really old. I'm not going, he's really young. He's got the experience. He's, I think, in a system he's comfortable with, because we have had the change again, sort of that offensive coordinator, because Liam Cohen went off to manage the Jags. So, we're again in a sort of change of situation. But I think as long as he's comfortable, one thing is that we didn't see him at all in the preseason. The first teamers really did sit out the preseason. kind of even more than I expected. I expected to see them a little bit, and we just didn't. So it's really an unknown quantity because we've not seen, we've just not seen that first string play. But I mean, what the coaches are saying is good. So they're saying they're all comfortable with what they're saying. So I guess our faith is in them.
I think you've. Oh, go on, Cal. Sorry.
That's the same with us. Like, he doesn't put any starters in the pre-season at all.
Yeah,
but it's one of them. You just trust in what they're doing, obviously training and practice and all the drills you do, etc. So it's basically a bit like a two teams that haven't.
It's another pre-season game.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I'm expecting to see probably a few more penalty flags this weekend than normal because it'll be on those sort of, false starts and those little technical sort of, the illegal shifts and things like that where some of the timing's a little bit off and a player moves just a little bit too quickly. I'm expecting to see a few of those when with both of us knocking the rust off our first teams.
Yeah, we've. I was literally going to say we're definitely on the rusty side, and that is how we seem to start all of the time. But it's glad that sorry, we've just got a comment. New season, no new Wi-Fi for Cal. Your mic was a little bit all over the place then, just for reference, just in case. But yeah, we're always on that rusty side. So in one way, it's good that we're going against yourselves as a divisional rival because it's a good gauge of where we're actually at. But I'd much rather it be the Saints or the Panthers, where I thought we'd have a much fairer shot of winning the game. Just moving on to the Saints and Panthers a little bit. I know none of us base our content on them solely, but do you have any thoughts about either team? Because at the moment, the Saints are the very, very bottom of the power rankings. They've got Spencer Rattler starting as the quarterback, who arguably might be a third-string quarterback. So how do you think those teams will fare against us two, who are hopefully on paper competing this season?
Carolina is starting to look interesting. I'm not sure what we're going to get out of them. They've made a few picks and they've got the name escapes me, but they've got our old head, like the previous offensive coordinator before the previous offensive coordinator. So we've got a familiarity, and they've picked up some players. They picked up the Tetaroa McMillan in the draft. Yeah. Wide receiver lad, looks quite interesting. He's got the sort of, you look at him and you see a sort of Mike Evans style, build and you think, oh, I know why he's Canales. That's it. I forgot the name. You can see why he's picked up a player like that, sort of building in that style. So, and like Bryce Young with a bit more experience. And so if I was going to sort of rank them, I'm putting Carolina in a strong third, and the Saints. Yeah, the Saints have got so many issues, and yet they've got some talented players. They have. Yeah, they have. They've still got people like Olave. They've still got, Kamara's not completely past it. They've got some talent in there. It's just they've got so many holes within the team as well that you just
I think they have such a dependency on those players that they do, like you just mentioned then. Kamara last year got battered and bruised, and the injuries are starting to pick up because they're so reliant on his ability because of those gaps. So I think that's probably the basis of them being ranked so lowly at the moment, because if he goes out again, you're really clutching at straws to find someone to fill the gaps a little bit.
And as you say, like... I feel for Spencer Rattler because I kind of watched him. I don't know how closely you guys follow college, and but he was on a documentary right at the start of like high school, leaving into high school and going into went to OU, didn't really play that well at OU, and then he moved to the Gamecocks later in his career and started there. And I kind of saw him slip off from where he was, like at this sort of 5-star recruit going into college to sort of not so great coming out of college and going into the NFL. But I've got a bit of a soft spot for him for having watched him through, I guess, from his high school through to the NFL. But Yeah, the poor lad is going to struggle. I think, I didn't see a lot in when he did play that tells me that he's going to cope, at that NFL level. I don't know who. I'm surprised they didn't even try and trade for someone or bring someone in. And
I'm shocked as well. And I mean, I don't know how happy we would have been to do it, but Cousins was sat right there for them. It would have only taken a third or fourth pick, so we would have happily taken that, I think, to get some of the contract off the books, but clearly not. We've just got Mitch in the comments from Pondside Panthers, so I hope that he just heard Mariana complimenting them very much so there. However, you're going to come third, so you can take that. With the quality of the NFC South, we're lucky to get a wild card spot. So generally speaking, it's going to be whichever team wins the division takes the playoffs.
Yeah,
but we'll see. We'll see how it pans out.
I think it can only be better for all of us if we're more competitive. As you say, when you're fighting for like one position going through. If we improve as a whole division, then we've got a chance of taking 2 spots into the playoffs. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's not necessarily a bad thing seeing improved sort of competition between us all.
No. As long as we sweep the division, I have no problem with you guys getting better at all. Then again, saying that, we didn't do bad in the division last year, and it was the other games that ultimately made us buckle at the end. So maybe it doesn't matter at all. With that being said, we are going to move solely onto really boring Falcons content, so we won't hold you any longer. But would you like to do a little plug for the Bucks UK? Where can everybody see you and, of course, watch you and all of your podcasts and everything?
That's great. Yeah, really appreciate it. So we've got our website is at www.bucksuk.org. We've got a forum, and obviously that's where you can come and join us if you're not a member. We've just started a WhatsApp community just this season, so we're really looking to push the conversation on the game days and get people more involved and a bit more communicative on game days. Had a little lapse on our podcast, but we do have a podcast out there, Bucks UK TV on YouTube. Looking to get some more content going this year. And we're on all the usual socials. If you look for Bucks UK, we're on Twitter, we're on TikTok, Instagram, and the rest. We like to plug ourselves with the longest running UK NFL fan club.
Yeah,
our 40th anniversary last year, and looking to push on to the next 40. So
I was literally I was gonna say I will never compliment your team on the field. However, as a fan base, it's sensational. I see you've got memberships and all sorts going on. So ultimately, that's what every other one of these little fan clubs is looking to try and do eventually. However, you've got 35 years on us at the moment in time, so it might take a little bit of catching up just yet. But
no, it's great to thank you again for letting me come on and be involved. As I say, I just enjoy talking with other fans, so it's great to speak to you all.
Hopefully, we'll be able to get either yourself or one of the other members on later in the season when we come back around and play you again, by which point we'll have a bit more clarification on who's looking to head towards the playoffs. So it might be a little bit feistier because this has been quite gentle and quite nice. But thank you so much for coming on, especially at such short notice. And kind of good luck on Sunday, I suppose.
The same, and to you guys. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. See you soon.
Yeah. Bye.
That was lovely, but it feels so bizarre being friendly to rival fans. So we were very gentle there. But it's given us very good context for how the Bucks are feeling going into the season. Clearly, they've got similar expectations to ourselves. I think the Panthers and the Saints will probably just be looking to kind of drag themselves through at the moment in time or wish for a miracle, whereas us and the Bucks are very, very much odds on for the playoffs. So, Liam, do you want to give us your kind of predictions initially going into the game on Sunday, and then we'll break it down a little bit in terms of players and everything?
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone's predicting a close game, aren't they?
Yeah,
myself included. I can't really see it being a blowout either way. It's difficult to predict whether it'll be sort of a high scoring game or not. And all sort of like the Bucs and Baker in particular likes to sort of sling it and have quite a gung ho approach to scoring points. But obviously they were trying to counter quite a poor sort of defense last year. They've improved a little bit, so maybe they'll be a bit more conservative. I think will be still a run heavy team this year. I would imagine that'd be my prediction. So I think it'll be a tight game. It could be one of them fourth quarter drive sort of games, maybe. But I think for me, it all comes down to whether we can run the ball or not. I think that's going to be the key to the whole game, is whether or not, obviously they've probably got the best sort of run stuffer in the whole league with Vita Vea. Obviously, is a bit of a man mountain.
However, saying that, he's not trained for the last couple of days, so there is a dream in there somewhere.
It'll be one of them,
no doubt it'll be 100% and fit somehow, but he's not trained for a couple of days, so you never know.
There'll be like some kind of like minor niggle where they're just not risking anything, because he's one of them players where you could just go
do your job.
Don't practice all week and just step in and just play the game, because he's just a wrecking ball, isn't he? So how we sort of like, I'm presuming he plays, which I'm guessing he will. How we sort of like handle him and his sort of like run stuffing abilities, certainly where we like to run up the middle. Maybe we'll try and run it to the outside a little bit more. But I think we may have to adapt to a bit more of a passing style game, and that could be interesting. Obviously, now Penix has got a little bit of experience, but this is sort of his first full season where he's had proper practice with the first teamers. So
I'd be inclined to agree. I know he's got those 4 games under his belt from the back end of last season, but at that time we were very much in like save the season mode. So everybody's playing a little bit differently. We're a lot more like reactionary to things. So it's going to be good to see how he does under the weight of a clean slate instead, and not no pressure, less pressure in terms of if you have a bad game early on, you've still got time to recover the season. He really didn't have that luxury last year, so we'll see. Sorry, before I jump onto Cal, we've been clipped for me saying that the Panthers are going to struggle this season. So Mitch from Pondside Panthers has the Panthers to do a little bit better than I'm predicting at the moment in time. Their schedule is a little bit softer, but I'm not a massive fan of the strength of schedule things, because they're just representative of last season. So players get drafted, players move. It doesn't really give a fair bearing of where everybody's up to, because on paper, ours looks quite hard, but we've done our run through and we all came out with a positive wins and losses ratio. So you never know. And then in counter to Mitch, Paul has clipped them saying you'll finish 3rd. Stunning. Cal, how are you feeling about the game as an overall package at the moment?
Well, is my connection actually better, or is it still worse?
You're a little bit rattly, but we can hear you now. Whereas last time it sounded like you were underwater for half of it, and then it'd break free. So you're all good at the moment.
Is this little Wi-Fi bot?
Paul will love that.
I think like what Liam said, it's going to be Mayfield's very high-scoring games. I reckon if you looked at Mayfield's stats in general, I think he's probably got one of the most highest-scoring games probably in the NFL for the last so many years. Obviously, our main worry is that blind side of Penix on the right side of the O-line, which obviously it's only game 1. Obviously, we have 17 of them, but probably it's still going to be questions. Hopefully, the guy coming in can put a good front open up, obviously. Watson's the team, so obviously you never know. I think that's probably our biggest worry. I think throughout the whole season at the moment, but you never know. You could pick up one. He could turn out to be. He does an absolute stellar job next to Lindstrom. 2, he turns to absolute shit, and then we end up drafting someone. Picking someone else up. But it's just one of them. I think it's definitely going to be a close game. I think every time we've played him, it's always quite every game's quite exciting at times, but it's always quite an exciting game, like a bit of a score, especially last season, taking them into overtime, right, etc. So,
well, Cousins, I know obviously we're not starting with Cousins this year, but last season, was it not the game? Well, it was. It was the game that he went for 5 touchdowns and nearly 500 yards as well, or just over. So it was a bit of a sling it game, but of course we're going to see a different dynamic. Just on that right tackle thing, I read an article and some quotes from Raheem and everyone saying that Jack Nelson was the one that's going to come in. But on the depth chart that the Falcons have put out, we've got Elijah Wilkinson starting there at the moment in time. So I'm not too sure if they're looking to shuffle that about or what, because I pretty much had Nelson as the 218th pick on just to be thrown in. But according to
one of them where they're going to... Like, obviously, we don't know what they've been doing in training-wise, but I'm guessing they've obviously used every player they can in
rotated.
So is it going to be one of them where you rotate in the game, or see who gets a good run of snaps? Obviously, time will tell. I think it's still a massive concern, but I think with the firepower we actually have still, I think we can still actually go on to win the game and still outscore them. But it's going to be it's an exciting game against the Bucs. First game of the season as well, especially against, I'd say, our biggest rivals now, as in competitive,
most competitive
division.
But
I think one of the points when I go back to that Panthers, I think obviously we'll get probably a Panthers guy on when it comes to the game against them, but I think they'll be just generally, if they'll be happy to progress this year, I think that'll be generally a good season. Like, I don't think they'll match us or the Bucs. I think they'll be better than the Saints, because I think literally 99.9% of teams will be better than them this year. But I think with the Panthers, I think if it's progression from last year, I think that's a good season for them. We could obviously get the Panthers guy on in the next couple of weeks when we play him. I'd like to see what their sort of goal is for this season, as coming from them fans.
I agree with you. I think it's a weird one, because of course some teams just come out and have like a sensational season when it's not really expected, in the same way that Washington did last year. Their expectations weren't sky high and they well outperformed what everybody thought. I can't see the Panthers having a season quite like that, but I'm only being a Falcons fan by saying I don't think they're going to do very well. They've got every potential to. It's not a strong division, so all of our divisional games will be competitive. Even with the Saints, because of the drama that surrounds it, it's not just the people on the field. Like, there's so much more to it, and the pressure builds and everything. So no doubt we'll see. We'll move on to the offense specifically a little bit. Liam, I know you mentioned you're looking at that running game and stuff. You expecting any nice little Bijan and Tyler combos or anything like that to be chucked in the mix nice and early?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to, don't we? Like, I think, we need that sort of change of pace running backs that teams have. Normally, these sort of like teams will kind of have it the other way around, where they'll have the guy who slams into people for the first 2 or 3 downs and then the change of pace later on. We kind of have the opposite, because obviously our sort of more speed guy is the first guy, and then we have the bruiser coming in later to try and when they're softened up a little bit, he just comes and runs over people. So I think we'll see a lot of that. I don't know whether we'll see. It'd be interesting to compare whether the sort of like how the snap counts go between the two compared to last year, whether it'll go sort of more towards it's never going to be a 50-50, but obviously more towards like a 60-40, 70-30 split, or whether they'll go even more down the purely down Bijan route, on the basis that he's a bit more experienced now and a bit more hardened. Will they just sort of try and utilize him as much as possible? Because obviously, Tyler's a good player, but he isn't a talent like Bijan. And people would say, well, why don't you? You should be having your star player essentially on the field for every single snap you possibly can. So there's arguments either way, isn't there, really? But I like the change of pace approach and using the two of them in sort of slightly different ways, or even some plays where we've got both of them on the field at the same time. Would be quite a little interesting look that I think some defenses would probably struggle to handle, because we could obviously hand it off in different directions then, and even go towards I sort of like the idea of Bijan being used in the pass game, and Tyler actually acting as almost like a fullback and doing a lead block because he's probably capable of going and cleaning somebody out in a blocking phase. And then obviously once Bijan's in space, there's not really anybody better than him in the league. So that's our key, isn't it? Because Bijan, he's, for me, his, I say weakness, but the things that we didn't really see from him last year compared to some of the top running backs in the league was the big plays. Like he would, he'd get a lot of like 6-7 yards, and then he'd obviously get up to like your 12-13 yards. But I think his longest was like a 20 or 30 yard run, which is obviously a very good run. But when you always look at like the other players, like your Saquons, for example, he will have 2 or 3 occasions every single season where he goes for like 60, like 70 yards, like every single season. And all the top ones will have those like massive, huge plays. And I don't think Bijan's really had one yet. I can't remember a single one where he's gone for like 50, 60 yards on a single run. Yeah. And, he gets a lot of shorter runs, which is fine. It works. But I feel like I just want to see those breakout runs that he's definitely got in him where we can really break the field open a little bit rather than us having to sort of rely on third down conversions all the time because, we're not the best.
No,
in that scenario.
Well, we've not been historically anyway.
No, especially with sort of not a rookie QB, but a sort of an experienced QB. It's a lot of pressure when you're in those third and 6-7 yard situations. It's not an easy play to deliver on. So yeah, I'm hoping he can sort of like give us some first and second down chunk plays with his runs this year, rather than just giving us the 5-6 yard gains. But he's going to be the key players in this season. I don't think there's any doubt. Obviously, alongside the quarterback, he's going to be the player that has to sort of deliver for us to have a successful season. Yeah,
absolutely. In terms of wide receivers, Cal, it was reported that Mooney was limited for the Falcons over the last few days, kind of expected. So it seems like London...
It's quite positive news on it, because I think we thought Mooney might be out. If he's only limited to play, he might not play this week, but it looks like he's going to be here for the next, like maybe next game and the game after. Because I thought we was thinking it could be 2-3 weeks out. So if he's limited to play this week, it is a big positive. Obviously, you got London there, and you got, I think Pitts will. Obviously, we all want it to work out.
Raheem, to be fair, I know they do it every season, but Raheem's been saying that he's in the best condition that he's ever seen him in. And we know that he has had injury problems historically that he's also played through. So you never know. I mean, we've got to hold on to that 5th-year hope because somebody's got to.
No, yeah, I think it's one of them. We all want it to work out. He's obviously got, I think he's got that connection with Penix, which is what you want. And what we need as fans, we like to see it. Obviously, with Penix, he's still, I think as Falcons fans, I think we are quite confident that he can be our future quarterback for like seasons and seasons. But obviously, he is basically still a rookie, so it's only his second season. He's only started 5 games last year, so he's still brand new. It's obviously still a 50-50 chance whether he makes it or not long term. But I think you've still got a few other wide receivers that can obviously pitch in this weekend if Mooney looks like he will be out. But like you got McLeod, who's probably our speedy guy really. The one who will pick up them longer than little diverting runs, etc. And then Pitts will, and then you got London as well.
Absolutely.
Against their defense, which Bucks have always had quite a strong defense in general. But the positive, what I heard from the Bucks guest was obviously with 2 new cornerbacks. From like the 2nd and 3rd round, which is they could set the world on fire and be absolutely class, but also the 2 rookies starting against a team that's very good with the wide receivers. So could be a very good matchup overall, or it could be a bit of an advantage to us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that kind of goes for us in a different way. So our cornerbacks per the depth chart are, of course, AJ Terrell, and then Mike Hughes has been put as his partner as the named one, which we kind of expected because he's the safe call. But the more interesting section of that is Watts has been named as a starter nice and early doors. So are we hoping he hit? Well, of course we're hoping he hits the ground running. But do you have any Any concerns, Liam, or do you think he's going to be all right? Because of course he's going to have Bates alongside of him, who'll hopefully be able to support him well.
Yeah, I think he should be okay with that. You know, he's obviously had a challenging college career in terms of he's played a high level of games often. He wasn't one of those who came from a poor school and has played against nobodies for his entire college career. He's played against very good wide receivers all of his college career. So that always helps with that kind of position where you've come up against sort of some strong guys.
Sorry, Liam. I just have to interject a minute. Louis Algier, who I believe is Tyler Algier's uncle, is in the comments. So it's a good job we've been speaking highly of him so far. So thank you for jumping in, Louis. Anyway, back to you.
Yeah. So I think I'm pretty confident in his ability. Obviously, he was a bit of a ball hawk as well back in college. Is obviously next to another one in Bates, so that's quite a fearsome sort of tandem there in terms of interception possibilities, which I'm looking forward to seeing. That's going to be if Watts does live up to his potential. That's a very, very strong safety pairing. We're going to have obviously a sort of in terms of the quarterback and safety situation. I would say that the if you look at I don't know whether the McMillan, I think McMillan's injured, isn't he? But if you look at probably the Bucs wide receivers as a 4 or a 5, if you include the tight end, possibly the best in the NFL could be. Is it they might not have the top 2 receivers, but when you add all, I think when you add sort of if you had the whole 4 of them together with a very good tight end, I think you could be looking at a top 4 sort of group in the league. They're definitely right up there. Obviously, assuming that Godwin and Evans can play to a high level, still obviously getting on a bit. So we're gonna have a lot to contend with there, and obviously Baker's got a lot of confidence throwing the ball, or certainly did last season. So I think it'll be a busy night for Watson and Cole and in the secondary. So he's going to have a baptism of fire, I think, in his first game. Especially if you have to go and tackle Mike Evans at any point. That's never going to be a fun thing to do. That man's a unit.
No, it's not. But it's a good little litmus test to see the standard he's at, isn't it? So we can't knock that at all. Go on, sorry. So there's a few others. Obviously, we didn't see anything of Brandon Dawless last season, and he's on the depth chart as a starter now. So that's another unknown to us because high expectations when he was drafted. We don't really know what happened last season. A few injuries, maybe just not quite up to scratch in some ways. So it's very much his rookie year as well, basically, isn't it? Nothing to show for it so far. So what we thinking about?
Where's he listed on the depth chart? What's he?
He's listed as a starter, as defensive line.
Mm-hmm. So it's going to be quite that defensive line and linebacker line, that 4 and 3. It's going to be quite a new team, basically. You've actually got a couple of people from last year because you've got basically 3 or 4 rookies this year, basically slotting in straight away. It's quite.
Yeah.
And obviously a new defensive coordinator. Obviously it's going to be a completely different defensive strategy this year, which would be good to see compared to last year because some of it was bad.
Not great.
Which quite used to that by now anyway. But hopefully this is the year where people are quite confident with that. Someone will get 10 sacks this year. I think we all put a name out on last week. So it'd be good to see. I think obviously I don't know much about their O-line personally. I think Baker got quite well protected last year. Overall. Of course, Baker's one of them. He's quite quick on his feet as well.
He gets going.
He is.
For a quarterback of obviously his age, he's still getting on a bit, but he does get the ball out quite quick as well. He's not one to keep hold of it either, so I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't many sacks this weekend. But I think it's just getting the pressure on.
Yeah,
he's one of the quarterbacks that will just end up throwing it anyway, whether it's intercepted or it's just straight out of the way.
Definitely
intercepted. But...
Yeah.
I can smell a pick 6 already. It's for us. I can smell it already.
I think having Dorwus back's great, really, in terms of the so it's basically a new player, isn't it? Virtually, coming in alongside obviously other new players, like 3 or 4 of them that we brought in along that defensive line. So we've got a lot more strength in numbers than we've had in recent seasons. Now, obviously, whether any of them are going to be like a star, I don't know. But even if they're not, hopefully, as a sort of a rotating unit, there's going to be a lot of production there. That's what I'm hoping for, because we've got it's one of the positions where it's a very physical position. Like get both your tackles and your edge rushers, it's very hard to sort of like play after play. So having that rotation is quite key. Keep it fresh and put some all-line pressure on fresh legs all the time, and hopefully we'll generate pressure that way. But I'm expecting Dorwus to be productive, and I think players like Onyemata have got to be very solid all year again. Like they have to be sort of like the reliable ones. Obviously, our key there is we've lost our defensive captain almost in that. Obviously, Grady, like he was a massive impact for us. So somebody has to sort of step into that more leadership role, and I would say that probably because it's quite young. Obviously, we've let him for you, but other than that, he's quite young. Other than Onyemata, and I think he's going to have to be sort of a leader on that defensive line, I think, this year.
I think he's...
Go on.
Sorry, I was just going to jump into the comments a sec. Louis agrees with us in terms of some
absolutely.
Thrown.
He'll throw 60-yard touchdowns or picks. Like, he'll just do something that's a gung-ho approach. He will launch that ball if he sees anything.
I think even though we've discussed the youthful side of the defense, we've of course got that little bit of stability in Caden Ellis and things like that, who's obviously coming off the back of a pretty tidy season. And we're starting to look a little bit better in depth now because, of course, you've got James Pierce Jr. and Rook and like there's a little bit more there. Even D. Alford, I know not everybody's like the biggest fan, but there is consistency there. At least it's like stable sort of players that we can like rotate and bring into the mix. Divine Diablo is also named.
He's a good player. He's good.
So that's an interesting one. And then of course you got JD Bertram that just be sat there as well. So I am feeling a lot more confident in the depth we have for the first time in a long time, because it felt very much last season like if we lost the player, we didn't know who could tag in. The only exception, of course, being on the offense is that right tackle slot because we've lost everybody all at once. And then, of course, we've not even mentioned him yet, but Billy Bowman Jr.'s chucked into the mix as well now. So that's another unknown, but another exciting one to drag in. I don't have any more super specific topics for us to cover other than expectations of the game. So is it too early in the season to do score predictions?
Well, we might as well.
Or should we gamble anyway?
Might as well.
Do you want to go on? Do you want to get us going, Cal?
I'll go on then. I think because it's the first game of the season, obviously a massive divisional game. Baker Mayfield will be throwing a couple of picks.
Yeah.
He'll throw interceptions, and I know that. Penix, I can see him like maybe throwing one or something, just because it is basically his first game. And I think like what we made at the point of earlier about, he's basically starting fresh. Like this is obviously it's a fresh season, so he's going to play slightly different to trying to win every game, trying to get in the playoffs wise.
Yeah.
It was a bit like a pressured moment and that. But I'm going to go 31-24.
Nice. Okay. All right. I was
in the
high 20s range.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close all the way, and then last quarter we'll end up going up and winning it, and then our defense will hold at the end.
Okay, I'll take that. Liam, what are you going for? I know it's early doors.
Yeah, I was sort of like tempted with a fairly high scoring game, but I'm going to lower it a little bit on the basis of a bit of a early season rust on the offensive side. And go for like a 24-17 result in our favour. So
Okay. I mean, we'll take any win, so I wouldn't complain about it. But...
I was thinking like it could be a bit of a back and forth high scoring game, but I just feel like there'll be a bit of rust on both sides that might keep it a little bit more lower scoring. So I'm going to go with that.
Yeah. I'm in a not too dissimilar to both of you. I'm going to go for 27-21 in favor of the Falcons. I can't see there not being any kicks at any point because, like you've referred to already, Liam, sometimes we struggle on that third down, fourth down kind of position. So I think Q's going to have to step up at some point. I hope we're strong enough to keep them at bay so they don't have the opportunity to add those extras here and there. But we'll see how it goes. Just to wrap up the show, last week, for anybody that watched the show, we did our season predictions. So I just want to share the results if you've not seen them already on social media. So we went for our wins and losses, our MVP, Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, and Defensive Player of the Year. 48% of the votes, based on the decisions that we all made, went towards a 10-7 season for the Falcons, which was Liam's pick. So still very, very positive. I think maybe myself, Cal, and Mark got a little bit carried away in there. But you never know. We'll see. And then for the MVP, 49% of the votes went to Bijan Robinson, which is a very safe shout, to be fair. So that one didn't shock me too much. Rookie of the Year, with a staggering 67%, went to Pace Jr., which threw me a little bit because I thought Watts would have a little bit more of a say in that, to be honest, with him being a starter as well. But you never know. Offensive Player of the Year, of course, Bijan again, but at 59% on that one. And then Defensive Player of the Year, and I wouldn't have expected any different, to be honest, was Jesse Bates with 83% of the votes. People are really, really sticking it to the wall for him because we put out a little all-time Falcons list that I found on socials the other day. It was a little bit dated, but so many people in the comments were saying, where would Jesse Bates fall in this list of like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3? And I was having that conversation with people, and I think it's quite difficult because, of course, he's not been with us for a very long time.
That's the thing. It's whether you include his career or not. Like,
as
a player across his career,
then you're looking at like probably in that like 2 range, like near the best. But for us specifically at the minute, I think it would be a disservice to some of the people that have spent their careers with us to put him any higher than like a 3rd tier sort of thing, which is very good still. Even 3rd might be reaching a little bit in terms of longevity, but you never know. This season, we could hit the playoffs. We could get back in there after, what is it now? Is it an 8-year absence? And then a winning season would be a nice start. So that's the status of play at the moment.
Like I say, a couple more seasons of Jesse Bates playing at a higher level, and I think we could say he's a sort of like a Falcon great. Like if we can't include somebody that's had obviously quite a lot of his career away from us. If you had it all, it's like when Leonard Floyd's obviously with us, he's had a great career. It's his first season with us. He could be a Falcon great on that basis. So I think we have to give.
It's not quite as hard to become a Falcons great when we've never won the Super Bowl, is it? Really? No, you just got to get near it.
I always think like a great is gonna be it's like minimum 5 years, really, isn't it? And I think even that could be a push. It's like 6 years of the same, obviously the same team.
Like you're looking at in recent history,
producing.
Yeah, you're looking at like your Grady Jarretts and people like that in recent history that you'd. I know we technically didn't achieve much, but it's been the best that the Falcons have been for a long time. And he was a huge part of that. So it's those kind of players that we're looking. Maybe in the bye week. Maybe in the bye week we make one pre-show and then discuss it during the show and kind of stat it up a little bit and see how it goes. But before we call it a night, has either of you got anything else to add that we've not already touched on just yet?
No, I just saw some news came through that Amari Cooper retired. Obviously, he committed to playing for the Raiders this year and then just went, I don't fancy it, and just retired.
It seems like a lot of people do that when they end up at the Raiders. Don't they? So I can't.
I mean, as from a team perspective, it must be weird.
Didn't they draft him didn't he start at the Raiders? I swear I've seen some. I might be wrong. I've seen he started at the Raiders and he's now finished at the Raiders, but never actually played. Maybe I could be wrong. But
he could have. he could have done. I still obviously know he played a lot of time with the Cowboys, but I can't remember if they drafted him or not. They might not have done actually. I feel like he was. Cooper on the back's ringing a bell at the Raiders, so I think that
Paul, our checker man watching live has confirmed this for us, so we'll take that.
That would make sense. So he probably went back there to try and rekindle something and realised his body probably doesn't have it anymore.
It's not got the facilities for it anymore, but
no,
it's one of them sports, isn't it?
I would have still took that guaranteed money, even if it was £2 million. I would have.
Yeah, you're not robbing them. You're not robbing them. Are you? Stunning. Right, on that note, we'll call it a wrap for the show. So all three of us have the Falcons to win by pretty close margins this week. You can see it's a very typical Falcons start to the season where our expectations are absolutely sky high. Odds are saying from the voters that we're going to finish 10-7 this season. We've got some really interesting matchups, a lot of youth all over our field, really. So no doubt one to watch. We will be watching live and, of course, tweeting throughout. If you're on Facebook or anything like that, jump over to X just for the live so you can see our commentary and our thoughts at the time and you can get involved. I'm not going to try and emulate Mark's sign off. I'm really not. I've not got the facilities. I'm Amari Cooper. So thank you all for watching live. If you didn't have the opportunity and you're only just tuning in now, you'll be able to catch this back on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and I'm going to say it in a normal person voice unlike Mark, or wherever you get your podcasts. And as well as that, you can follow us on Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook, the works. We're all over it all. We're very, very public on X. That seems to be our favourite forum at the moment. If you're an Atlanta Falcons fan, whether you're over the pond or in the UK, we have some little merchandise that you can also purchase with our nice little logo. You can get a number or your initials printed. I think Cal's got a cap on. Cal's got a cap there, embroidered, not printed. They're stunning. But thank you all again for watching, and we will catch you hopefully when the Falcons are 1-0. But if not, you know this is a group therapy session, so we'll catch you all next Monday to break it down. Thank you for watching and catch you next time.